We're about to receive our second guest speaker now, and it's a pleasure for me to say a little introduction about Adelaide Chibanda. She's a passionate advocate for empowering women and girls to reach their full potential. She is a vivacious, engaging speaker who inspires audiences to embrace their strengths and overcome challenges. Having spoken at numerous events and conferences, Adelaide is known for her unique perspective and insights and has motivated many to take action and pursue their goals with confidence. In addition to her speaking engagements, Adelaide has overcome personal challenges in her life. To become a mother of now 2 young adults, she worked as a nurse consultant in the NHS, is a co-chair of a mental health trust, and is an entrepreneur running her own healthcare company. She leads a community group called Mother-Daughter Diaries. She's dedicated to building relationships, fostering community, and driving positive change in all that she does. Once again, with Jesus' joy in our hearts, please join me to make welcome, to take us through the next session, Adelaide Chibanda.
Oh my goodness, I am back again. Thank you so much, radiant women, all of you, for inviting me once again. Can you not hear me? No. Or is my voice very soft? I have softened. Since you last saw me last year and the year before, I've been going through some transitions myself. So it's very interesting hearing what you had to say about what women should be, because I think that's kind of the journey I've been going on. So I've been trying to find my balance a little bit. But yeah, Isi, it was an honor to get a call once again from you. I didn't think I would say yes this year. I think I said that to you. But for some reason, I absolutely resonate with what Radiant Women are doing. It almost feels like it's a bit cathartic for me. My life journey seems to resonate with every year that you have talked about. And I truly believe that I'm a walking, living testimony of what God can do in your life if you allow Him to. So there is something about taking action, isn't there? Okay, I do talk a lot. So I've got 45 minutes. So I'm really going to try and manage my time. I'm doing something a little bit different this year because I do believe there's something a little bit more serious about what we are talking about today. I just want us to really engage and lean into everything that is being shared by anybody who stands up here today, because I believe that God is speaking to each and every one of us directly. There are things that He wants us to move. We are in a season where we've got to make a change and we have got to move. There seems to be an urgency in the air, in the spirit, about the things that we are meant to do. So I urge you to take heed at a very personal level. It's you and God in this room. It's not you and your friend and your neighbor and your pastor and whoever else you might be thinking about. It is about you, your life, and God, and where He wants to take you. So there might be just one thing I say today. Whatever it is, take that with you. There might be something else that somebody says. Whatever it is, something that quickens in your spirit when you hear it. Take heed, write it down, meditate on it, listen to what God is telling you about it, and take action, as Pastor Isi told us earlier on. So, letting go of the shackles. Before I start, I am not a minister of the word, so I have not gone to school and learned about the Bible. What I will share is the bits that I know of the Bible that I have learned over time, and just my life experience. I will talk to you a little bit about mental health because that is my area of expertise and knowledge. It's what God gifted me with. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, so there are things that I will share in a way that I will share that, again, I believe are giftings from God that I have been gifted to share with the world. Okay, so I love words, semantics. When we speak, when we say things, we're not just saying them for the sake of saying them. They carry something with them. They have a deeper meaning. So when I'm given a topic like letting go of the shackles, initially I was like, hey, Issy, what do you need me to say? I wasn't expecting this. So I really had to dig deep, and it took me weeks and weeks of just kind of going through these words and what is it that they are saying to me that I need to impart to everybody else. So we're going to have a little bit of a conversation. I'm sure for some of you who've heard me speak, I like to interact and engage with the audience because I'm also learning from you. It's a transactional kind of process. So when we talk about letting go, what do you think? What does it mean to you? Just shout out from wherever you are. Stop seeing somebody. Yeah? Yeah? Stop seeing somebody. I like that. Anybody else? Release. Okay, I like that too. Freeing yourself from burdens. I like that. So letting go, release, to relinquish, to let go of things that no longer serve you. And by doing that, you're creating space for something better, for peace, for joy, for purpose in your life. You're creating opportunity. You are able to curate your own life. These days with social media, people advertising, I can curate your holiday for you. I can create your business. I can tell you and show you what to do. Actually, by letting go, releasing things from your life, you are giving yourself opportunity to curate your own life. So we haven't even started to talk about God yet. We're just talking about what it is that these words mean, right? So shackles. What are shackles? Chains. Okay. So when we think of chains, what do we think of? Bondage. Okay. What does that mean? Limitations? Restriction? Anything else? Slavery, being tied down? Prison? Entrapment? Okay. So there are things that prevent us from doing what we want to do. You are definitely in bondage. So you can't make a move. I mean, you can imagine me. Yeah? I want to get back to the podium. But my feet are shackled. My hands are shackled. I might get there, but it's going to be difficult, isn't it? It's going to be harder because I might need to hop. Yeah? By hopping, it means I will fall over. So something that really should just take me a few steps will take me a long time. So shackles. I just thought it important for us to just get that understanding in our minds. So that when we are letting go of things that are holding us back. Things that are interfering in our lives. Things that are stopping us from reaching our destiny. Not our own destiny, but the destiny that was created from before time even began. Okay, so great. I think we kind of get a sense of, okay, we need to be letting go some stuff. So each and every one of you, I don't care who you are, you might be Pastor Isi, you might be Dr. Gabriel at the back there. We all have something that is holding us back in our lives. I want you to think about that thing. Might be a couple of things. If like me, I'm always got things going on in my life. So there's things in our lives that are holding us back. I want you to think about it, and as we talk, and we start to talk through and unpick how you can start letting go, I want you to think of yourselves individually and think, okay, what can I do? What do I need to think about? What steps can I take? I like the idea of practical application. You know, when Yvonne was talking, she was talking about the fact that some people say that the Bible is not alive and real. It is very much alive and real. We can still take the lessons from Ruth, like we are today, to our day-to-day lives. So don't think of it as a story. It's something that happened years and years ago. It's actually about 3,500 years ago. It still applies. Those lessons that we're going to learn, that we're going to hear about, still apply today. So I want to set the scene a little bit. Ruth and Naomi. So 3,500 years ago, about 1385 BC. We can't even imagine what life was like. Because, I mean, not even our great-great-great-grandparents were alive at that point. I mean, even in England, they were still fighting with Scotland, still fighting for sovereignty at that time. It was about a century after the Israelis had entered the Promised Land. Judges were ruling at that time, and it was considered a dark and difficult time. So you can imagine, you know, people trying to make the most of what life has to offer. You can imagine the decisions that Naomi and her husband made to leave Bethlehem, the land of their people, to go to Moab, a foreign land that was actually an enemy. But because they were trying to make ends meet, trying to make life for themselves, they had to make some decisions. So they'd already made some sacrifices. They'd already made some choices because they were just trying to live well. Now, this is me just imagining. I don't know. I haven't read about it, but I'm just imagining that that's what life must have been. They had to make decisions. I mean, how many of us have had to leave our homes and our lands to cross oceans or even just cities to go and live somewhere else because we believe that it will be better for us? We've all made those decisions. They went with their two sons. Their two sons ended up marrying foreigners. Nothing wrong with that. It was a very patriarchal society. We still relatively are, but then, really women, we couldn't do very much. We couldn't own land by ourselves. We couldn't sort of do things that independently look after ourselves without the covering of a man. So that could be your father, your brother, your husband, your sons, but you had to have a man covering you. The husband died. So Naomi's husband died. The patriarch of the family dies. Okay, it's tragic, it's sad. But you know what? There's still the two young men. We are still okay. Then those two young men die. What covering do they have? Who is looking out for them? And remember, they're in a foreign land. Yes, the two women, it is their land, but they've married into a family that is a native. So they're there. You can imagine what they are feeling, what they are thinking. I will come on to that shortly. Just a little side point. Do we know when women in the UK were given the rights to own and sell property independently of a man or a husband. 1970 something. Oh no, I think our rights were a little bit better than that. 1901, a little bit closer. 1945. Okay. Ah, very close. So 1926. So almost 100 years ago. It was only when women had the rights. So we're talking about 3,500 years prior. So over 3,000 years it's taken women to get any sort of rights. Yeah. Okay. That was a little side thing. Just sometimes it's important to have these facts in our minds just to remind ourselves of where we've come from and how far we've still got to go, particularly as women. So if I come back to where we were, so the patriarch has died. The sons, who as men should have been covering the family, have now died. You've now got 3 women. Do you want to shout out to me, what do you think they were going through? A bit louder. Don't be shy. Fear. Yeah, fear of the unknown. Devastated. Sadness. Identity crisis. That's a big one. Grief. Anxiety. Depression. Turmoil. Fear of the future. All these emotions. Emotions of loss. Naomi, she would have been overwhelmed with grief, with sadness and hopelessness. Not only has she lost her husband, for those of you that are married, the love of your life, can you imagine? I'm now married, so I can speak to that. I cannot imagine my husband not being in the same life with me. And not only that, your 2 children, your sons, and we know sons, especially in that time, they are everything. They're not just your child, but they're also your covering. Without them, you are exposed. Now, when we talk about grief from a mental health perspective, we say for about a year, it's normal for you to grieve. And the grief cycle, Kubler-Ross, for anybody who's heard of Kubler-Ross's grief cycle, you go through stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And throughout the year, you may go through all of them. You may stick to one more than the other. But it's not just grief. There are also aspects of your life. So the things, when I asked you before, what are the things that are holding you back? What are the things that are worrying you? What are the things that are upsetting you? When you are trying to make decisions about what you do about those things, you're going to go through these different steps. You're going to be angry about whatever it is. You're going to be bargaining. What should I do? How do I deal with this thing? Finally, you may come to acceptance. Now, I really do believe that Naomi came to a point of acceptance that this was her situation, this was her life, and she needed to make a decision. And she needed to make a move. I'll come back to that, because that's the third thing I'm going to talk about. What is the difference between mental health and mental illness? Because we know 1 in 4 of us, so in this room, 1 in 4 of us will have a mental health crisis or sort of illness at some point over a period of a year. 1 in 4 of us. Do we have an idea? How do you define the difference between illness and health when it comes to mental health? Anybody? Yes? Okay. Not too bad. So when we're talking about mental health, it's all of us should aim for and should be in good mental health. So when we, are able to do the things that we want to do, so our health and well-being is in a good place for us all. When we are talking about illness, and it's so easy for any one of us to shift into that mode, it's when we are not able to function. So when you talk about your basic activities of daily living, can I get up in the morning? Can I wash myself? Can I make something to eat? Can I eat? Can I go to school? Can I go to work? Can I ring people that I normally ring? Can I watch the TV programs that I normally watch? Can I go to the toilet by myself? Can I look after my children? Can I look after my home? Can I go to sleep? That is what mental illness is. When you start to shift into that mode of you are not functioning on a day-to-day basis, you are ill and you need to get help. The reason why I talk about it with regards to Naomi and loss, it's important because we want to apply these things to our daily life, because these are some of the shackles, yeah? Mental illness will be a shackle unto your life if you do not deal with it. Grief and loss can lead you into that. And there are ways of you being able to deal with your mental health problems. In the church, and I think I take every opportunity, so if you've heard me say this, you will hear me say it a million times again. In the church, we struggle with the concept of mental illness, right? It's so easy for us when somebody is physically unwell. If somebody has heart problems, you don't just say, we need to pray about it, it's a spiritual thing. Of course you pray about it. But you also expect them to go and see their cardiologist, right? And if they don't go and see their cardiologist and say they are praying about it, what are we going to say? We are going to be saying they're being a bit foolish, right? Because really people should go and see their doctor. So why is it when it comes to mental illness, we just want to pray about it, we want to cast out demons? But you shouldn't go to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, your GP. So if there's anybody in this room who is not functioning on a day-to-day, doesn't have to be all those things, but you feel like you're not concentrating as much, go and get help. Talk to somebody. Start with that. Tell them what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Go and see your GP. Go to therapy. One of the things that I've been saying to people, please don't just rely on the NHS. I love the NHS. I worked for the NHS for over 25 years. The NHS is good, but it's not able to meet our needs. If you're needing therapy, it'll cost you from about 55 pounds an hour to go and get counseling. Please do that. Okay, let's go back to Ruth and Naomi. So with Ruth, they would have been, actually, let me ask you. I will tell you what I think, but what do you think? What do you think Ruth was feeling in that moment? She's lost her husband. She's lost her father-in-law. It's just the three women. So we're back to our three women who are living and they don't know where they are going, where they are coming. What do you think she was going through? Yes? Okay. So yeah, they would have been going through similar emotions of loss and grief. Anybody want to add anything else? Yeah? So she would have been torn. What does she do? She'd obviously married a foreigner. You don't know what the implications of that for her life may have been. Was she able to go back home? Who knows? Right? Hopeless. Emotional trauma. Yeah, 3 men dying. We've already said it was a time of war. I mean, I'm not a scholar, so I really don't know how they died, because the Bible isn't explicit about how they died, but I can assume potentially they had gone to fight somewhere. It could be that there was a lot of lawlessness around. What we know is they died, but we don't know how. But definitely emotional trauma, just from the loss and potentially the nature of the loss. There would have been a lot of nervousness, but there was also anticipation. There may have been determination from Ruth. And why I say that is because of the decisions she then made. She didn't just settle. She didn't just accept what fate had landed her. She made decisions, and she was able to move forward. There was also a changing of mindset. There would have to be. You are faced with a catastrophic situation in front of you. It's often when you are faced with challenges, you can't always just do what you've always done. These things are sent to try us, to challenge us, to make us grow, to help us grow. And by doing that, you often find there has to be a change of mindset. The second thing I want to talk about is indecision. Indecision is a shackle. Do we know that? By not making a decision. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to process, and that you don't have to think about, and that you don't have to find counsel, that you don't have to pray about it. But if you do not make a decision, it leads to procrastination. It leads to delays. It leads to anxiety. It stops you from moving forward. Naomi heard that the Lord had visited his people and given them bread. Whilst she was in Moab, that is what led her to make a decision to go back home. She remembered where she came from. She pivoted, she adapted to her circumstances and her situation. You don't have to stay on the same course. It's okay to pivot and change direction so you can move forward. Because if you don't, you will be stuck in that one place and you will not be fulfilling your destiny. Ruth's declaration. Can I just have Ruth 1:16 to 17 again? I know it was read, but the book of Ruth, 4 chapters, it's kind of the best book in the Bible, really. There's not a lot to read. Okay, but Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." You can imagine her. She wouldn't have just said to Naomi, "Please, don't ask me to stay." She would have been forceful. "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go." She would have been emphatic because she was decisive. She had made a decision. When you make a decision, you have to be convicted of that decision because you are doing it in faith. You are trusting all is well. You are not going to make that decision based on knowing that all was going to be well in front of you. So you have to be convinced of the decision that you are making. She had weighed up her options. It took courage. It took faith. It took trust. And it took loyalty. Not only are you having to convince yourself, but you're also having to convince others. So in verse 18, when Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. So the first thing is to convince yourself. So when you're letting go of something, you have to convince yourself. Once you have convinced yourself, you'll be able to convince other people. Because those things that are holding you back, it might be drugs, it might be alcohol, whatever it is, not necessarily sin, maybe something that is just not good for you. It will try and hold you back. And as long as you give it room, it sees the doubt in you. It sees the hesitation in your decision making. Oh, it will come back. Sweet talk you. So you have got to be convincing. You have got to be absolutely clear that this is the decision that you are making, come what may. It doesn't mean that, you don't review, you don't reflect, and you might make some tweaks and changes along the way. But the initial decision, you have got to be convicted in that decision for you to be able to move forward. I did say I was going to be a bit more serious today. Okay. So it is important to address and work through indecision. Why do we get to the point of indecision? So if you think about the things that you are all struggling with, the things that are holding you back in life, why do you think that is? Why can't you just make that change? Why is it that you can't just move forward? So you're scared and you're uncertain of what's going to happen. Yeah? Fear of failure. Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Because who wants to fail? Who wants people to look at you and think, all right, we told you. Yeah? Getting comfortable. Oh, yes. Our comfort zones. And this is where I like God. He'll come and disrupt your life so you're no longer comfortable. And it's up to you to make a decision. Whether you're going to stay in your discomfort, in your comfort zone. Temporary comfort, of course. It's never long term. It's always temporary comfort. If you are not where you are not meant to be, it will be temporarily comfortable. Because the longer that you stay in it, it ceases to be comfortable. You start to be uncomfortable. Anything else? Yes. Yes. So how your brain is hardwired. So emotional trauma? Absolutely. Fear of making a mistake. Oh, yes. Especially in this day of social media where information just goes quick, quick, quick. Before you know it, something has happened at 10 o'clock. By 10:30, the whole world knows. So it's important that we make decisions. But not just make decisions, but that we make decisions that align with our values, with our goals, and with what God is saying about our lives. So we go back to our Bibles. What is God saying about you? I will come back to this when we talk about identity. So, indecision. How do we cross this then? So all those things that you talk about, the things that are holding you back, how do you deal with them? I'll share something with you. Actually, I made a decision. I was going to publicly say the statement here because I needed to. So early this year, I thought I just felt a bit unsettled in my spirit. There was just something not settled in myself. And I said to myself, what am I going to do? And then I thought, okay, I haven't done a coaching, kind of series for a while. So let me find myself a coach. Let me do some coaching. So did the first session. Oh, it's fine. I'm looking at what's going on in my life. What do I want to do? Where have I been? Where am I going? I do my personality test just to see where I'm at as a person. That's fine. Come the third session. So as I was preparing for the session, it suddenly dawned on me. Actually, no, it didn't suddenly dawn on me. My sister phoned me and she said, next year is a big year. What have you been thinking? What are you planning? And I was like, I haven't been thinking about it. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. And she's like, but why? You need to. It's such a big deal. You need to be planning. You need to be, getting excited. What is it? And I was like, oh no, I'm not dealing with it. And then as I was preparing for my next session, it hit me. I had refused to acknowledge something because I couldn't believe that I was. So I will publicly say and announce it. I am going to be 50 next year. I had to own it. I had to acknowledge it. And do you know what? That is what was unsettling me. The fact that I could not acknowledge to myself. Because, my goodness, I do not feel 50. I'm actually 38. I think Isi was at my birthday celebration last year, and I told them all I'm 38 for the rest of my life. I don't feel it, but I am going to be 50, half a century of being on this earth. And I'm grateful to God because, gosh, those 50 years have been short of a miracle that I'm alive. So I'm really grateful. So I guess when we're in decision, when we are struggling with things in our lives, what steps do we take to get us to a place of understanding, a place of peace, a place of resolution? Because in my language, I don't know if there's anybody who speaks Shona in here, but we say, they do Zega. You know, things don't do Zega. Basically, things don't just happen on their own, right? You can't just fix things and you just expect a miracle to happen and it just happens without you doing something. So the sort of things that you can do: prayer, meditation, Bible study, of course. Those of us who know God, who are children of God, we know that's our staple. That we should always do. And we all have different ways of relating to God. I don't think there is a communal way where we meditate and we talk to our Father. I have direct conversations. That's how I work with my Father. He is my Father. And I have those sorts of conversations. Like, today, you know, I really can't cope with this. And that's the sort of conversation I have. But we're all different. And we all meditate. Some of us are very formal. Some of us have got our prayer closets. Whatever it is. Don't struggle on your own. Don't give up. Don't give up on God. Because He will never give up on you. Mentoring. We need to have somebody else who is guiding us. Somebody who has gone before us, who is more experienced, who understands more. Now we look at Ruth and we say, Oprah made a decision. We don't hear much about her. Once she'd made a decision, she just, you know, when Naomi said to them, you know, you go back to your families. Yeah, there was a bit where I think both of them were like, oh, no, we will stay with you. We'll stay with you. But Oprah, at some point, she decided that was best for her. And that's okay. That was her destiny. That was where she was led to be. But Ruth, she must have seen something in Naomi. She knew she couldn't let her go. And it is not by chance that Naomi came from people who knew God. She saw something. She saw something that she could follow. It probably was part of a decision in terms of getting married. Because you know when we get married, particularly the singles that are here, you don't just look at your person. You also look where they are coming from. Right? Wow. 5 minutes. I talk too much. Anyway. So Ruth probably saw a mentor, somebody she could follow in Naomi. And that's what led her to go. Coaching. Like I said to you, even for, nearly 50-year-olds like me, we still go and I'm a coach, a certified coach myself, but I still go and get coaching from other people when I feel the need to make sense of my world, to help me in my decision making. Those people don't go there and think you're going to get your answers. No, they're helping you process in a way that will help you arrive at a decision. Counseling. Please get counseling when you need it. I believe every single person in this world needs counseling at some point in their lives. Please go and get counseling. Since I've got 4 minutes now, I'm going to do my last segment in 4 minutes. Self-identity. Knowing who you are and knowing whose you are will free you from the shackles that are holding you back. Own your story, your experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. Whatever it is that has happened to you, own your story. Sorry, could you just put Ruth 19 to 21 for me quickly, and then we will round off. This is an example of Naomi owning her story, owning her experiences. So the two women went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them, and the women explained, "Can this be Naomi?" "Don't call me Naomi," she told them. "Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter." Now we can look at this and think this is her being very negative, and that there could be a different way she could have expressed where life was with her. But this was absolutely perfect. She owned where she was. It didn't stop her from making a decision. Her knowing and acknowledging that her life had been bitter, that her experiences had been bitter, that she had suffered these losses in her life, did not stop her from moving forward. It did not stop her from being kept where she was when her destiny was back where she belonged. It did not stop her. She owned her experiences. Each one of you need to own the things that have happened to you. The issues we have with people who have emotional traumas, they stay in that traumatic state. Instead of acknowledging it, accepting that this thing happened. And it's a process. These things, you don't wake up one day and decide, actually, that's not going to bother me anymore. Of course not. Some of these things you've experienced in childhood, they're going to be steeped at the very core of your being. But you go through a process of stepping away from that, acknowledging that this thing happened, forgiving somebody if they were a perpetrator. If you were a victim, it could be rape, it could be physical violence, it could be verbal violence, it could be abuse, whatever it was. You forgiving that person, you are letting go of that shackle so that it does not hold you back in that emotional, traumatic state. You are able to move forward. Naomi acknowledging her losses, acknowledging the things that had happened to her, did not stop her. It allowed her to go back home. It allowed her to bring Ruth with her, and their destinies were fulfilled. The first step in mental health to recovery or change is by acknowledging that you have a problem. So acknowledge the issue to yourself, to somebody else, even if it's just to God, but acknowledge it, confess that thing that is within you. In terms of Ruth, because I know my time is up, so I'm really trying to finish off quickly. There was a boldness to her. There was a strength. She had come from a foreign land. She was a widow. They didn't have a covering on their arrival. So even the land that they owned was not really their land. That could easily be taken over. But there was a boldness in her. And there was a strength in her. And her and Naomi combined, they had a strategy. They had a plan. So you don't just move from the shackles when you're letting go. You don't just let go without a plan. You have to have a plan and a strategy of how you're going to move forward. And I'm going to stop there because my time has finished. But But my prayer to you all, don't be shackled by the things that are holding you back in your life. There is no need. You have what it takes. The Psalms that I was going to go through, Psalm 34, verse 4 to 14, and Psalm 139. God knew you before you were born. He knit you in your mother's womb. He equipped you with everything that you needed because he knew it was going to happen. So you have everything that it takes to get you through life. Everything. There is no doubt in my mind. You are equipped. There is nothing that will happen to you, that will be thrown at you, that will come at you that you cannot deal with. Just remember whose you are and where you come from. Thank you very much.